Mm. Allow me to clear my throat. Sweet. What is this? We're live, right? Okay. We are live. It is alive. What? I can still hear myself?
Allow me to clear my throat.
Oh, it's in two places. What is this? We're going to watch party. We're going to watch party a movie. Yo. What's up, folks? Hi, everybody. Yo, guys, on Wednesday, we have Jason Bermas coming on the show. How timely. 9/11 just passed, the 19th anniversary. And he was the one of the pioneers who produced Loose Change. That came out, I know I look like Tarzan. That came out, well, I want to say, I got to know for sure because here we go. Did it really, though, come out in 2015? Yeah. Did it? Am I tripping? Anywho, cool, smooth. You're in Florida? Dude, I'm in San Diego right now. Of course, J.E. I remember, Jay, you asked like maybe 2 shows ago, and then I just made you one right away. What's up, Amelia? What's up, everybody? So I'm doing a couple things right now. I'm testing the Wi-Fi where I'm at because there's some filming going down here in San Diego, and I'm here at the hotel, and I'm testing out the Wi-Fi because we have an interview later. We're gonna hang out with Nikki Jean. Nikki Jean, not my love. All right, so please hit the like and subscribe. We're gonna attempt to stream a film, a really cool one. Let's see here. We'll see if I've seen others do it, and I don't see why we wouldn't be able to, but it's the second edition of Loose Change. All about 9/11 truths. What's up, Laura? I got my pen in the hotel room. This movie was one of the first blockbusters online. Crazy, huh? Oh, I don't know. I'm here in San Diego just for like an hour. No, it's kind of like a afternoon, but I'm leaving later. I don't know if they did. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's had an opportunity to meditate or to do some kind of self-healing. It's crazy. There's a lot of Californians breathing in terrible air. It's stressful. Super. So yeah, dude, Furbywood is in the works. It's going to be good. I mean, the longer it takes, the better it's going to be. And I've already decided on expanding it. And even while we're watching this, I might be on my phone writing what part of the script I'll be doing. Sorry, I have some writing on the script to add. All right, guys, we're going to watch this film because this film's badass. Boom. And then it's going to get us hyped for Jason. If you have any questions for Jason, who produced this, there's a group of like 5 producers maybe 4 actually. He's one of them, and he was in his mid-20s. Like, whoa, wow. For a youngin' to have such a pull. Here, I have an idea, though. I want, here, wait, first, before we do this, we're going to organize everything to make it nice and neat. Because I want to be able to see comments in here, too. So we'll go like, I'll put this right here. Bam. We have Nikki Jean on later today at 4. That'll be on my other channel. Yo, did you guys see that Netflix CEO? Toronto News released information saying that the Netflix CEO was caught with like tons of child porn, allegedly. We don't know if that's true, but it's possible because, immediately after, everyone started saying, "Oh no, it's on lead stories. It says it's fake news." So I looked up who wrote that on lead stories, and who created lead stories is a guy who's worked at CNN for 26 years. Can't use CNN to fact check. Of course, they're going to do damage control, and no one will ever let Netflix. Who owns? I gotta get down to the bottom of this. Who owns? Pockets. How crazy would that be, though? How crazy would that be if that was the case? Reed Hastings? Was that the guy everyone's talking about? Yeah. The whole mainstream media would have their backs for sure. And let's see. I mean, we can go over some Q posts, but I want to. Got your main Facebook back? They gave you your Facebook back? That's cool. All right, here we go, guys. This is an hour and 10 minutes. And we can, I might pause it every now and then and elaborate on stuff as usual. I got weed. I got real weed, and I got just pen. All Rugoff is in the house. Eric B's in the house. Don Birch. Spiritual Gains. The bearded me is getting close. I know, dude. My beard's getting... Whoa. What's up? It's me. It's dark earlier. Marley's in the house. When you're sitting at the eye doctor and you get a notification. Rawr. Okay, guys. Get your popcorn ready. Share computer sound. Desktop 1 so you can see. The pen's okay. I like this pen. This one I've had since Florida. And it's a little indica based, so it'll chill me out a little bit. And before the show at 4, I'll probably roll a spliff. I've been rolling spliffs. Nick, Jesus, what is it? My tabs? This is nothing. All right, let's go. Hold up. We can't just start a movie not from the beginning. Where's that Statue of Liberty at, though? Which island? I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center. Figure that out. There were lots of warnings. Donald Rumsfeld. No warnings. Ari something. We're about to start freestyling there.
March 13th, 1962. Lyman Lemnitzer, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, presents a proposal to Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, named Operation Northwoods. The document proposed staging terrorist attacks in and around Guantanamo Bay to provide a pretext for military intervention in Cuba. The plans included starting rumors about Cuba using clandestine radio, landing friendly Cubans inside the base to stage attacks, starting riots at the main gate, blowing up ammunition inside the base, starting fires, sabotaging aircraft and ships on the base, bombing the base with mortar shells, sinking a ship outside the entrance, staging funerals for mock victims, staging a terror campaign in Miami, Florida, and Washington, D.C., and finally, destroying a drone aircraft over Cuban waters. The passengers, federal agents in reality, would allegedly be college students on vacation. A plane at Eglin Air Force Base would be painted and numbered as a duplicate of a registered civil aircraft belonging to a CIA front in Miami. The duplicate would be substituted for the real plane and loaded with the passengers. The real plane would be converted into a drone. The two planes would rendezvous south of Florida. The passenger-laden plane would land at Eglin Air Force Base to evacuate its passengers and return to its original status. The drone would pick up the scheduled flight plan and, over Cuban waters, transmit a Mayday signal before being blown up by remote control. The plan is rejected by McNamara, and President John F. Kennedy personally removes Lemnitzer as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. December 1st, 1984. A remote-controlled Boeing 720 takes off from Edwards Air Force Base and is crash-landed by NASA for fuel research. Before its destruction, the plane flew a total of 16 hours and 22 minutes, including 10 takeoffs, 69 approaches, and 13 landings. August 1997. The cover of FEMA's Emergency Response to Terrorism depicts the World Trade Center in crosshairs. February 28th, 1998. The Global Hawk, Raytheon's unmanned aircraft vehicle, completes its first flight over Edwards Air Force Base in California, at an altitude of 32,000 feet, cruising altitude for a commercial jetliner. 1999. NORAD begins conducting exercises in which hijacked airliners are flown into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. June 2000. The Department of Justice releases a terrorism manual with the World Trade Center in crosshairs. September 2000. The Project for a New American Century, a neoconservative think tank whose members include Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Jeb Bush, and Paul Wolfowitz, releases their report entitled Rebuilding America's Defenses. In it, they declare that the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event, like a new Pearl Harbor. October 24th, 2000. The Pentagon conducts the first of two training exercises called Moscow, which simulate a Boeing 757 crashing into the building. April 2001. NORAD plans an exercise in which a plane is flown into the Pentagon, but is rejected as too unrealistic. June 2001. The Department of Defense initiates new instructions for military intervention in the case of a hijacking. It states that for all non-immediate responses, the Department of Defense must get permission directly from the Secretary of Defense. Attorney General John Ashcroft begins flying on chartered jets for the remainder of his term due to a threat assessment by the FBI. July 4th, 2001. Osama bin Laden, wanted by the United States since 1998, receives medical attention at the American hospital in Dubai, where he is visited by a local chief of the CIA. July 24th, 2001. Larry A. Silverstein, who already owned World Trade Center 7, signs a $3.2 billion 99-year lease on the entire World Trade Center complex 6 weeks before 9/11. Included in the lease is a $3.5 billion insurance policy, specifically covering acts of terrorism. September 6th, 2001, 3,150 put options are placed on United Airlines stock. A put option is a bet that a stock will fall. That day, put options were more than 4 times its daily average. Bomb-sniffing dogs are pulled from the World Trade Center, and security guards end 2 weeks of 12-hour shifts. September 7th, 2001, 27,294 put options are placed on Boeing stock, more than 5 times the daily average. September 10th, 2001, 4,516 put options are placed on American Airlines, almost 11 times its daily average. San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown receives a phone call warning him not to fly the next morning. And in Pakistan, at a military hospital, all of the urologists are replaced by a special team in order to host their guest of honor, Osama bin Laden, who is carefully escorted inside to be watched carefully and looked after. September 11th, 2001. The National Reconnaissance Office in Chantilly, Virginia, is preparing for an exercise in which a small corporate jet crashes into their building. NORAD is in the middle of a number of military exercises. The first, Vigilant Guardian, is described as an exercise that would pose an imaginary crisis to North American air defense outposts nationwide. The second, Northern Vigilance, moved fighter jets to Canada and Alaska to fight off an imaginary Russian fleet. 3 F-16s from Washington, D.C.'s National Guard at Andrews Air Force Base, 15 miles from the Pentagon, are flown 180 nautical miles away for a training mission in North Carolina. This left 14 fighter jets to protect the entire United States.
Hi, Boston Center Team U. We have a problem here. We have a hijacked aircraft headed towards New York, and we need you guys we need someone to scramble some F-16s or something up there to help us out.
Is this real world or exercise?
No, this is not an exercise, manifest.
The first question I have is basically to get from you a sense of how you would rate the American media in their coverage of the events of the attack last September.
Well, let's see. Shamefully is a word that comes to mind.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
But overall, the American journalism was cowed and intimidated by this massive flag-sucking, this patriotic orgy. You know, if you criticize the president, it's unpatriotic and there's something wrong with you, you may be a terrorist.
So in that sense, Hunter S. Thompson, there's not enough room for dissenting voices?
Well, there's plenty of room. There's just not enough people are willing to take the risk.
Jim, I don't know whether we've confirmed that this was an aircraft, or to be more specific, some people said they thought they saw a missile.
There was definitely a blue logo. It was like a circular logo on the front of the plane. It definitely did not look like a commercial plane. I didn't see any windows on the sides.
Mark, if what you say is true, those could be cargo planes. You said you didn't see any windows in the side?
I didn't see any windows on the side. It was not a normal flight that I've ever seen at an airport. It was a plane that had a blue logo on the front, and it did not look like it belonged in this area.
That's a good time to take just a little, a little something. What am I hearing? That is crazy. That is crazy that there are people observing then and then who did not see a freaking commercial plane. And then you look at the Pentagon and you see there's no plane wreckage. There's no camera footage to show. And the only one that does show looks like a missile. Do they think we're dumb? Yes. Are we all dumb? No, we're not. We're so woke. Too woke to sleep.
It's just sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Do you think that the event completely transformed the way in which Americans see themselves and their own vulnerability?
No, the event by itself would not have done that. And you sort of wonder when something like that happens, well, who stands to benefit? You know, who had the opportunity and the motive? You just got to look at these basic things. I don't assume that I know the truth about what went on that day. And yeah, I just look around and looking for, well, who had the motive, who had the opportunity, who had the equipment, who had the will, I've spent enough time on the inside of, well, the White House, and I've been at, campaigns, and I've known enough of the people who do these things to know that the public version of the news of an event is never really what happened. And these people, I think, are willing to take that even further.
It seems a very long bow to me, but are you sort of suggesting that this worked in the favour of the Bush administration?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
(9:38), Arlington, Virginia. Hani Hanyor allegedly executes a 330-degree turn at 530 miles per hour, descending 7,000 feet in 2.5 minutes to crash American Airlines Flight 77 into the ground floor of the Pentagon.
The airplane could not possibly have flown at those speeds which they said it did without going through what they call a high-speed stall. The airplane won't go that fast and start pulling those high-G maneuvers at those bank angles.
Its final approach took it directly across Interstate 395. Knocking light poles out of the ground and bouncing off of the lawn before impact. First, let's meet Hani Hanyor. Hanyor had come to Freeway Airport in Bowie, Maryland 1 month earlier seeking to rent a small plane. However, when Hanyor went on 3 test runs in the second week of August, he had trouble controlling and landing a single-engine Cessna 172.
Well, my name is Marcel Bernard, and I'm the chief flight instructor here at Freeway. Hani Hanyor, well, basically what happened with him is he showed up at the airport and wanted to get checked out in the aircraft. See, he was already certified. He didn't come to us for flight training.
Yeah, he already had a pilot's license.
He had already earned his private instrument commercial at a school in Arizona, and I don't remember the name of the school, but already had certificates in hand. And we sometimes occasionally have pilots that come to us that don't want flight training but just want to rent our aircraft.
Which is the case of Hani Hanyor.
This was the case with Hani. He wanted to get checked out, as we call it, to rent our aircraft. And our insurance requires that he flies with one of our instructors to be found competent to rent. And that was the process that he was going through. The consensus was that he was very quiet, average or below average piloting skills. English was very poor. So I don't know where to, that's about the best description I can give you for his demeanor at that time. Very, uneventful from our perspective.
Regardless, air traffic controllers at Dulles International Airport that were tracking Flight 77 all thought that it was a military plane. Second, the light poles. On November 22, 2004, a private jet en route to Houston to pick up George Bush Sr. clipped a single light pole and crashed a minute away from landing at Houston's Hobby Airport. The wing ripped off upon impact, scattering debris over 100 yards. And yet, Flight 77 managed to tear 5 light poles completely out of the ground without damaging either the wings or the light poles themselves. Instead, they seem to have just popped out of the ground. Third, you only have to look at the photos from that day to realize that whatever hit the Pentagon did not bounce off the lawn. If Flight 77 had crash landed and skidded into the Pentagon, it would have looked like this. Instead, it looked like this, without a single scratch on the lawn. Fourth, why is there absolutely no trace of Flight 77? The official explanation is that the intense heat from the jet fuel vaporized the entire plane. Indeed, from these pictures, it seems that there is absolutely no trace of a Boeing 757. But if the fire was hot enough to incinerate a jumbo jet, then how can investigators identify 184 out of 189 people found at the Pentagon? The Armed Forces DNA Identification Laboratory, which was responsible for the task, was also responsible for identifying the dead in Shanksville. Titanium has a melting point of 1,688 degrees Celsius. Jet fuel, also known as kerosene, is a hydrocarbon, which can retain a constant temperature of 1,120 degrees Celsius after 40 minutes, but only if the fuel is maintained. The fuel would have burned off immediately upon impact. Therefore, it is scientifically impossible that 12 tons of steel and titanium was vaporized by kerosene. Likewise, the two engines should have been found relatively intact at the Pentagon. Instead, there was a single turbojet engine approximately 3 feet in diameter found inside the building. The second identifiable piece of debris was allegedly a piece of the fuselage. Skeptics have claimed that this is proof that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon, but this piece could have come from any American Airlines plane. And why is it not singed or scratched after a 530-mile-per-hour impact and a subsequent fireball? The third piece of debris was a diffuser case. Let's look a little closer at the diffuser case of a 757. Do you see the triangular bezels around the openings? Those are nowhere to be found on the case found at the Pentagon. The remainder of the debris was light enough to have been carried by hand. If Flight 77 was vaporized on impact, it would be the first time in aviation history. For example, August 15th, 2005, Helios Airways Flight 522, a Boeing 737 en route to Athens, Greece, crashed into a hillside at full speed. 121 passengers, all dead. Fire. Tail sections. Wing sections. Engines. Cockpit. Bodies. Fifth, why is the damage to the Pentagon completely inconsistent with a Boeing 757? These photos were taken before the roof of the outer ring had collapsed. The only damage to the outer wall is a single hole, no more than 16 feet in diameter. A Boeing 757 is 155 feet long, 44 feet high, has a 124-foot wingspan, and weighs almost 100 tons. Are we supposed to believe that it disappeared into this hole without leaving any wreckage on the outside? Why is there no damage from where the wings, or the vertical stabilizer, or the engines would have slammed into the building? Remember how big the engines were? If 6 tons of steel and titanium slammed into the Pentagon at 530 miles per hour, they would bury themselves inside the building, leaving 2 very distinct imprints. And yet, the only damage on the outside of the Pentagon is this single hole, with no damage from where the engines would have hit. Why are the windows next to the hole completely intact? Why are the cable spools directly in front of the hole completely untouched? And as for the inside of the Pentagon, there's another hole, approximately 16 feet in diameter, found on the other side of the C ring, 3 rings from the impact. For that hole to have been caused by Flight 77, the Boeing would have had to smash through 9 feet of steel-reinforced concrete. The nose of a commercial airliner is composed of lightweight carbon. This is what usually happens to the nose of a commercial airliner in a plane crash. If the nose caused this hole, where's the rest of the debris from the plane? So what could blow a 16-foot hole in the outer ring of the Pentagon, smash through 9 feet of steel-reinforced concrete, and leave another 16-foot hole? A cruise missile. This is what Slobodan Milosevic's residence in Belgrade looked like after a Tomahawk cruise missile had hit it. See any similarities? Sixth, the eyewitnesses. Some saw a huge 100-ton commercial airliner.
To a standstill, and I looked off. Looked out my window. I saw this plane, a jet, American Airlines jet, coming.
Some saw a small 8 to 20 passenger commuter plane.
So it looked to be maybe a 20-passenger corporate jet, no markings on the side, coming in at a shallow angle like it was landing right into the side of the Pentagon.
And some saw a United States military helicopter.
He said that he saw a helicopter circle the building. He said that it appeared to be a U.S. military helicopter and that it disappeared behind the building where the helicopter landing zone is, and that he then saw a fireball go into the sky.
So who's telling the truth? Take this into consideration. April Gallup was working in the Pentagon's west side when it was hit. In Jim Mars's book, Inside Job, April claims, while in the hospital, men in suits visited her more than once. They never identified themselves or what agency they worked for. They didn't tell her what to say, just made suggestions. For example, to take the compensation money and shut up. They also kept insisting that a plane hit the building. They repeated this over and over. But I was there, and I never saw a plane, or even debris from a plane. I figured this story is to brainwash people. So if a Boeing 757 didn't hit the Pentagon, then what did? Eyewitnesses inside and outside the building were thrown to the ground by what they described as a shockwave. Even the Sheraton Hotel, 1.6 miles away, was rocked by the blast. A number of military personnel at the Pentagon specifically mentioned smelling cordite. Cordite and jet fuel have two very distinct smells. Cordite is a compound used in ammunition, which is comprised of nitroguanidine, nitrocellulose, and nitroglycerin. It is cool burning, produces little smoke and no flash, but produces a strong detonation wave. And eyewitnesses described a bright, silvery flash. Jet fuel combustion, i.e., the planes that struck the Twin Towers, is bright yellow at best. Watch this. A massive smoldering fireball. No silvery flash, no shockwave. And at the Pentagon, a tiny, bright, silvery flash, which shakes nearby buildings. Whatever it was, it might have been related to the two planes that were in the air after the crash. The first one was uniformly identified as a C-130. The second plane was an unmarked white plane flying over Washington, D.C.
A white plane, a very big jet, was flying in an unusual pattern near the White House over Lafayette Park. Very slowly, it made one circle, and then we have not seen it since. But again, it's only speculation, but most people say that since flights have been cleared from U.S. airspace and it was a totally white plane, looked unusual to all of us, that it was a government plane of some kind.
7th, surveillance cameras from a gas station, Sheraton Hotel, and the Virginia Department of Transportation captured the entire thing. However, the FBI was there within minutes to confiscate the tapes, including a warning for the employees not to discuss what they had seen. If the government wishes to prove once and for all that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon, all they would have to do is release one of those tapes. Instead, they released 5 frames from a camera across the heliport, even though none of them show a 757. And is it merely a coincidence that the Pentagon was hit in the only section that was renovated to withstand that very same kind of attack? And that Donald Rumsfeld was safe in his office on the opposite end of the building? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions or release a few videos? (9:59), New York City, New York. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses to the ground in approximately 10 seconds. 29 minutes later, the North Tower follows suit, collapsing in approximately 10 seconds. Later that evening at 5:20, World Trade Center 7, a 47-story office building 300 feet away from the North Tower, suddenly collapses. The building's tenants included the CIA, Department of Defense, IRS, Secret Service, and Rudy Giuliani's emergency bunker. And the SEC was using it to store 3,000 to 4,000 files related to numerous Wall Street investigations. Although every single building surrounding Building 7 stood intact, it fell straight down into a convenient little pile in 6 seconds. Official explanation? Falling debris from the Twin Towers created an internal fire, which ignited several fuel tanks inside the building. If this is true, then it would be the third building in history to collapse because of a fire. The first two would be the Twin Towers.
It was July 28, 1945. The Empire State Building, with a B-25 bomber knifing through the fog on its way to New York City. The Army bomber carrying its pilot and 2 passengers had crashed into the giant building between the 78th and 79th floors.
14 people dead, $1 million in damage. But the building stands intact to this day. On February 14th, 1975, a 3-alarm fire broke out between the 9th and 14th floors of the North Tower. According to the New York Times, the fire leads to intense scrutiny of the towers and eventually to a decision to install sprinklers. On May 4th, 1988, a 62-story skyscraper in Los Angeles burned for 3 hours and spread over 4 floors. It did not collapse. On February 23rd, 1991, a 38-story skyscraper in Philadelphia, built in 1973, burned for more than 19 hours and spread over 8 floors. It did not collapse. On October 17, 2004, a 56-story skyscraper in Venezuela, built in 1976, burned for over 17 hours and spread over 26 floors, eventually reaching the roof. Guess what? It did not collapse. On February 12, 2005, the Windsor Building in Madrid, a 32-story tower framed in steel-reinforced concrete, burned for almost 24 hours, completely eradicating the upper 10 stories of the building. Although the top 10 floors of the building fell, the building itself did not collapse. And yet, on September 11, 2001, 2 110-story skyscrapers, completed in 1973, burned for 56 and 103 minutes, respectively, over 4 floors, before collapsing completely to the ground. One might argue that this was due to the construction of the World Trade Center. Let's look at what was inside those buildings. The Twin Towers were composed of 200,000 tons of steel, 425,000 cubic yards of concrete, 103 elevators, 43,600 windows, 60,000 tons of cooling equipment, and a 360-foot television antenna. The core of each tower was 87 by 133 feet, comprised of 47 box columns 36 by 16 inches thick. The North Tower was completed in 1970, standing at 1,368 feet tall, and the South Tower was completed in 1973, clocking in at 1,362 feet tall, making them the tallest buildings in the world until the Sears Tower was completed in 1974. And to think, the government would have us believe that these massive structures were destroyed by 10,000 gallons of jet fuel. However, eyewitnesses, video footage, and a little common sense quickly refutes that claim. The second plane hits the south tower between the 78th and 82nd floors at 9:03 a.m. Barely hitting the southeast corner, the majority of the jet fuel exploding outside in a massive fireball. Yet, this tower collapses first, even though the north tower was hit straight on and had already been burning for 18 minutes longer. Galileo's law of falling bodies calculates the time in which an object will travel a certain distance in complete freefall. The south tower was 1,362 feet tall. 1362 equals 16.08 times 84.7, or 9.2 seconds. The Twin Towers came down in nearly free fall speed. 200,000 tons of steel shatters into sections no longer than a couple feet long. 425,000 cubic yards of concrete is pulverized into dust. Thousands of lives are extinguished instantly. So what brought down the World Trade Center? Let's ask the experts. Van Romero, Vice President for Research at New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. My opinion is, based on the videotapes, after the airplanes hit the World Trade Center, there were some explosive devices inside that caused the towers to collapse. The collapses were too methodical to be a chance result of airplanes colliding with the structures. 10 days later, certainly the fire is what caused the building to fail. Why would Romero change his mind so suddenly? Hyman Brown, civil engineering professor and the World Trade Center's construction manager. It was over-designed to withstand almost anything, including hurricanes, high winds, bombings, and an airplane hitting it. Although the buildings were designed to withstand a 150-year storm and the impact of a Boeing 707, jet fuel burning at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit weakened the steel. Kevin Ryan, Underwriters Laboratories, the company that certified the steel that was used in the World Trade Center, in a letter to Frank Gale of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. We know that the steel components were certified to ASTM E119. The time temperature curves for this standard required the samples to be exposed to temperatures around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for several hours, and as we all agree, the steel applied met those specifications. Additionally, I think we can all agree that even unfireproof steel will not melt until reaching red-hot temperatures of nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Why Dr. Brown would imply that 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit would melt the high-grade steel used in those buildings makes no sense at all. This story just does not add up. If steel from those buildings did soften or melt, I'm sure we can all agree that this was certainly not due to jet fuel fires of any kind, let alone the briefly burning fires in those towers. Ryan's statements directly contradict statements from so-called experts which claim that 2,000 degree heat inside the World Trade Center caused the towers to collapse. Days after writing this letter, Kevin Ryan was fired from his position. Not even the experts agree with each other. So what else could have caused the Twin Towers in Building 7 to collapse?
10 o'clock Eastern Time this morning, just collapsing on itself.
The second building that was hit by the plane has just completely collapsed.
We have no idea what caused this.
Almost looks like one of those planned implosions.
As if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down on itself and it is not there anymore.
If you wish to bring anybody who's ever watched a building being demolished on purpose knows that if you're going to do this, you have to get at the under infrastructure of a building and bring it down.
We heard another explosion, and I'm assuming that's the one that came from the lower level, since there were two, and I said,
right, because it was like 18 minutes apart.
Well, this is, no, the first explosion, and there was a second explosion in the same building. There were two explosions.
Okay. Federal agencies that were down there do believe that there was some sort of explosive device somewhere else besides the planes hitting.
NBC's Pat Dawson is close to the scene of that attack. Pat?
Just moments ago, I spoke to the chief of safety for the New York City Fire Department. Chief Albert Turry, he received word of the possibility of a secondary device, that is another bomb going off. He tried to get his men out as quickly as he could, but he said that there was another explosion which took place. And then an hour after the first hit here, with the first crash that took place, he said, there was another explosion that took place in one of the towers here. He thinks that there were actually devices that were planted in the building. The second device he speculates, was probably planted in the building.
There were 2 or 3 similar huge explosions, and the building literally shook. You literally shook at the base of this building.
First one and then the other, some say after secondary explosions.
A big explosion happened. All of a sudden the elevator blew up, smoke. I dragged the guy out, his skin was hanging off, and I dragged him out and I helped him out of to the ambulance.
Just get out of the tunnel and the blue.
The subway tunnel?
Yeah.
Collapsed.
5 blocks from the World Trade Center, and we were standing here when there was some sort of collapse or explosion. Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse?
To me, it sounded like an explosion.
When I tried to save people, in the moment we heard a big explosion coming down. Everything just went black. Everything came down, glass started popping. People got hurt, stuff went on top of them, and it was a big explosion. Everything got dark, real dark, like snow.
The FBI is here, as you can see. They had roped this area off. They were taking photographs and securing this area just prior to that huge explosion that we all heard and felt.
At 10:30, I tried to leave the building, but as soon as I got outside, I heard a second explosion and another rumble and more smoke and more dust. I ran inside the buildings, the chandelier shook, and again, black smoke filled the air. Within another 5 minutes, we were covered again with more silt and more dust. And then a fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a third explosion, this building might not last.
Ginny Carr was attending a business meeting on the 36th floor of One Liberty Plaza, across the street from the World Trade Center, and caught the entire first attack on tape. A second explosion can be heard 9 seconds after the crash.
Sound like something crash.
So what happened in the North Tower? Ask Willie Rodriguez. Willie, a janitor who worked in the World Trade Center for 20 years, was in sub-level 1 when the North Tower was hit.
And all of a sudden we hear boom! I thought it was a generator that blew up on the basement. And I said to myself, oh my God, I think it's a generator. And I was going to verbalize it. When I finished saying that in my mind, I hear boom! Right on the top, pretty far away. So it was a difference between coming from the basement and coming from the top. And that's, everybody started screaming. And a person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion, explosion. He got his hand extended and all the skin was pulled from his under his arm, all the way to the top of the fingertips, and it was hanging on both arms. Hanging and hanging. And then I look at his face and he was missing parts on his face. And I said, what happened? What happened? And he said, the elevators, the elevators. There were many explosions, and when I actually talk about those explosions, they said that, well, there were so many kitchens in the building, and they have probably those gas canisters. And I say, I don't believe that, because the building was a Class A building. There are very strict guidelines of what you can put in a kitchen. And I really doubt it was gas. So there was a lot of misconceptions of what happened that day in terms of the explosions. But up to date, I haven't received an actual explanation about the different explosions that I had on the upper floors and not all the way to the top.
The windows in the lobby of the North Tower were blown out, and marble panels were blown off of the walls. This was brushed off as damage from a raging fireball that went barreling down the elevator shafts. On 9/11, New York City lost 343 firefighters at the World Trade Center. Since they were the ones inside the towers before and as they collapsed, I'd say they've got a pretty good grasp on what happened. So what does the FDNY think? First, we had this interview from the Naudet brothers documentary.
It was like
obviously my words was that there was nobody there. Where the fuck? What do we do? We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running. Floor by floor, it started popping out.
It was like, it was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
if they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running. Just ran up West Street. And then you just sort of, this cloud of shit chasing you down.
Couldn't outrun it.
West Street. Couldn't outrun it.
In these interviews, numerous members of Engine 7 described explosions preceding the collapses, not to mention the damage to the lobby of the North Tower.
I heard a loud boom. And my first thing, I was right at the desk there on the left-hand side when you come into Tower 1. And I walked out, you know, I didn't go out. I walked to where all the doorway was, the glass were broken, and I looked out, and I seen in the building across the street, I seen the shadow coming, I seen just the shadow in the building across the street coming down.
I wasn't expecting to see the damage that I saw in the lobby and the people, the bodies, the burnt people, the injured people. I really wasn't prepared for that.
The lobby is about 6 stories high, and the lobby looked as though a bomb had exploded there. It's, all the glass was taken out. There were 10-foot by 10-foot marble panels that were once walls. They were loose from the wall of the Trade Center.
I went around by the freight elevator, and I could see it was just blown. It was just a giant shaft. And at that time, we heard a huge explosion. And we immediately dove for the stairs. Get back into the stairs. Let's get back into the stairs, because I had seen what happened in the lobby with the elevator being blown out. I said, if there's another explosion, what I feared, I never in a million years feared those buildings coming down. Never. I did fear secondary explosion, or possibly a second plane.
For more than a year, the Port Authority blocked the release of a tape of firefighters' transmissions from the World Trade Center on 9/11. In November 2002, the tape was finally released to the New York Times and other news outlets. Why did it take so long to get the tape released?
I got an eyewitness who said there was an explosion on floor 7-8. 7-8. We just had another explosion.
On Warren Street because of the secondary explosion. We've got numerous people covered with dust from the secondary explosion.
And we got another explosion on the tower, 1013. Has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse surrounding the entire area. Who's involved in the secondary explosion at Tower 1K? I've got 5 patients.
Chief Palmer had reached the fire on the 78th floor of the South Tower and devised a plan to put it out.
We got 2 isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. Radio that. 78th floor, numerous 1045 call horns.
If the 78th floor was a raging inferno like the government would have us believe, then Palmer wouldn't have gotten as far as he did, and certainly wouldn't have been able to put it out. On August 12, 2005, an additional 15 hours of radio transmissions and transcripts of interviews with firefighters was finally released to the public. Firefighters described 2 events consistent with a controlled demolition. Bright flashes from inside the building, and a number of crackling sounds before the buildings collapsed. Do you still think the jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? In all the videos of the collapses, explosions can be seen bursting from the building 20 to 30 stories below the demolition wave. Here, 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 and here. You're probably asking, if there were bombs in the building, how would they get in there without anyone noticing? Daria Cord, a guard in the North Tower, told Newsday that security detail was working 12-hour shifts for 2 weeks before 9/11, but on Thursday the 6th, bomb-sniffing dogs were abruptly removed from the building. So who authorized all this? President Bush's brother, Marvin, was board of directors at Securicom from 1993 until fiscal year 2000. Securicom, now known as Stratosec, is an electronic security company backed by Kuwait American Corporation, which provided security for United Airlines, Dulles International Airport, and from the early 1990s up to the day of 9/11, the World Trade Center. Marvin is also the former director at HCC Insurance Holdings, which insured parts of the World Trade Center on 9/11. More information on this was supposed to be disclosed and never was. To date, the SEC has not revealed what they have learned. If only we could examine the debris from the World Trade Center and figure out what happened. Unfortunately, Mayor Giuliani began shipping the remains off to recycling yards overseas before investigators could even examine it. Not even FEMA was allowed into Ground Zero. Essentially, they blocked off a crime scene and destroyed all the evidence. Guess who was allowed into the site? Controlled Demolition, who was also responsible for cleaning up after the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. Regardless, I think what happened to the World Trade Center is simple enough. It was brought down in a carefully planned, controlled demolition. It was a psychological attack on the American people, and it was pulled off with military precision. "10:06 a.m., Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Flight 93 was en route from New Jersey to California with 45 passengers, a 19% occupancy rate, when it went off course at 8:56 over Cleveland, Ohio. According to the official story, Flight 93 was headed for the White House when it was overpowered by a group of passengers and crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Out of all of the events of 9/11, the one that has caused the most confusion is Flight 93. It was shot down, it wasn't shot down. However, evidence suggests that perhaps Flight 93 was nowhere near Shanksville.
Last hour, I want to get quickly to Chris Nicky. He's a photographer with the Pittsburgh affiliate of Fox affiliate. He was back there just a couple of minutes ago, and Chris, I've seen the pictures. It looks like there's nothing there except for a hole in the ground.
Basically, that's right. The only thing you could see from where we were was a big gouge in the earth and some broken trees. We could see some people walking around in the area, but from where we could see, there wasn't much left.
Any large pieces of debris at all?
No, there was nothing that you could distinguish that a plane had crashed there.
Smoke, fire?
Nothing. It was absolutely quiet. It was actually very quiet. Nothing going on down there, no smoke, no fire. Just a couple of people walking around. They look like part of the NTSB crew walking around looking at the pieces.
How big would you say that hole was?
From my estimates, I would guess it was probably about 20 to 15 feet long and probably about 10 feet long or 10 feet wide.
What could you see on the ground, if anything, other than dirt and ash? And
you couldn't see anything. You could just see dirt, ash, and people walking around, broken trees.
You're more familiar with it.
Wally Miller, a Somerset County coroner, told the Houston Chronicle, "It looked like somebody just dropped a bunch of metal out of the sky." In the Washington Post, "It looked like someone took a scrap truck, dug a 10-foot ditch, and dumped trash into it." And as for the passengers, I stopped being coroner after about 20 minutes because there were no bodies there. In the Pittsburgh Review, I have not, to this day, seen a single drop of blood. Not a drop. It would seem that, on one day, for the second time in history, an entire plane, along with its passengers, disappeared upon impact. So if Flight 93 didn't go down in Shanksville, then where? You ready for this? Cleveland. At 11:43 on September 11th, WCPO, a local TV station in Cincinnati, Ohio, reported that 2 planes landed at Cleveland Hopkins Airport due to a bomb threat. United Airlines identified one of the planes as Flight 93. Are you confused? Well, it gets better. Check it out. At approximately 10 a.m., Cleveland Hopkins Airport was evacuated amidst rumors that a hijacked plane was going to land. Passengers had to leave, but couldn't drive. They had to walk or hitchhike. Buses weren't allowed to leave. People were sent home. According to Associated Press and local Ohio papers, one plane landed at approximately 10:45. But Delta Airlines confirmed that their plane, Delta 1989, landed in Cleveland at 10:10. Therefore, Flight 93 landed at Cleveland at approximately 10:45. Authorities searched Delta 1989 for over 2 hours, and passengers were questioned individually. The plane dealer reported that the plane was evacuated at 12:30. But the Akron Beacon reports that a plane was evacuated at 11:15, which would make that Flight 93. Mayor White reported that the plane had 200 passengers. But a passenger from Delta 1989 described 60 or so passengers. So at 11:15, 200 or so passengers were released from Flight 93. The passenger from Delta 1989 states that she was taken into FAA headquarters. But other reports say that passengers were brought into the NASA Glenn Research Center, located near the west end of the airport, which had already been evacuated. So, to sum up, Delta 1989 landed at 10:10, was evacuated at 12:30, almost 2.5 hours later, and 69 passengers were taken to FAA headquarters. Flight 93 landed at 10:45 and evacuated within a half hour. 200 or so passengers quickly taken to an empty NASA research center. Why did it take 140 minutes to evacuate 69 passengers when 200 were evacuated in a half hour? We can assume that the passengers from Delta 1989 are safe somewhere. The question remains, what happened to the 200 or so passengers from Flight 93? It's interesting to note that the combined total of all the passengers from all 4 flights is 198, or 243, depending on who you ask. We may never know what really happened to Flight 93, but we do know what didn't happen. Whenever this evidence is presented to people, you'll usually get one of many different questions. The first one being, if different planes were used, what happened to the original ones? Unfortunately, there is no way to know what really happened. But if we could examine the black boxes from the planes that were used, we could prove that they weren't the original flights. A commercial plane carries 2 different black boxes. Each black box carries one of 2 different recorders, a cockpit voice recorder and a flight data recorder. The cockpit voice recorder records sounds from inside the cockpit, including engine noise, stall warnings, and other sounds of interest. Communications between air traffic control, weather briefings, and conversations between pilots and crew are also recorded. The flight data recorder records at least 28 different parameters such as time, altitude, speed, and heading. Some also record more than 300 other in-flight characteristics, anything from autopilot to smoke alarms. The recorders themselves are made from the most impervious metals known to man, and the information is recorded along with date and time and spooled into a continuous roll. Any damage that is done to the roll is done to the outside, as opposed to the inside where the data is. The 9/11 Commission says the CBRs and FDRs from American 11 and United 175 were not found. Yet, the FBI claims to have found the passport of Saddam al-Sakami, which managed to fly out of his pocket, through the explosion, and onto the streets of Manhattan below. So, 4 different black boxes, made from the most resilient materials known to man, were destroyed. Yet, a passport, made from a fragile material known as paper, managed to survive? Who writes this stuff? Ted Lepatkowitz spokesman for the National Transportation Safety Board told CBS News that it's extremely rare that we don't get the recorders back. I can't recall another domestic case in which we did not recover the recorders. Turns out Ted's right. Nicholas DeMasi, a firefighter who helped the recovery efforts, claims in the book Behind the Scenes, Ground Zero, "At one point, I was assigned to take federal agents around the site to search for the black boxes from the planes. There were a total of 4 black boxes. We found 3. I guess it all comes down to who you'd rather believe." FBI Director Robert Mueller said Flight 77's data recorder provided altitude, speed, headings, and other information, but the voice recorder contained nothing useful. And Donald Rumsfeld said the data on the cockpit voice recorder was unrecoverable. As for Flight 93, it was the only flight where the cockpit voice recorder was recovered. It was played for the families in April 2002, but not before they signed an agreement saying that they wouldn't talk about it. They couldn't even take notes. And for some reason, the last 3 minutes of the tape was unaccounted for. The FBI had no explanation for the discrepancy. Why would the 9/11 Commission tell us Flight 11 and 175's recorders weren't found? Why would Robert Mueller tell us that there's nothing interesting on Flight 77's? What's on the last 3 minutes of Flight 93's cockpit voice recorder? These are vital questions that need to be answered. And according to the FAA, both N591UA and N612UA, Flights 93 and 175, are still valid. But Flights 11 and 77 are listed as destroyed. Not to mention that they were not even scheduled to fly on September 11th. Next, what about the cell phone calls? For starters, the calls themselves are extremely peculiar. Most of them are only a couple sentences long. Before the callers end the conversation, only to call back later. Flight attendant Betty Ong allegedly placed a call from Flight 11. According to the 9/11 Commission, although the conversation lasted 23 minutes, only 4.5 minutes was recorded.
I can't hear you.
Sure. What is your name?
Okay, my name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 on Flight 11.
Okay.
And the cockpit is not answering their phones. And there's somebody staffed in business class, and we can't breathe in business class. Somebody's got mace or something. Okay. Our number 1 got staffed. Our purser is staffed. Nobody knows who's staffed who, and we can't even get up to business class right now because nobody can breathe. Our number 1 is staffed right now.
Okay.
And our number 5, our first class passengers, our first class galley flight attendant, and our pursers in staff. And we can't get to the cockpit. The door won't open.
Does Miss Ong sound like a woman on a hijacked plane who just saw 3 people murdered? Why is nobody in the background screaming? Flight attendant Madeline Sweeney allegedly talked with her ground manager Michael Woodward for 25 minutes. She describes 4 hijackers. The FBI says there were 5. She says the hijackers were in rows 9 and 10. The FAA says they were all in row 8. A man claiming to be Mark Bingham called his mother Alice, who is visiting his sister-in-law. The caller says, "Mom, this is Mark Bingham. When was the last time you called your mother and used your full name? I just want to tell you that I love you. I'm on a flight from Newark to San Francisco, and there are 3 guys on board, and they have taken over the plane, and they say they have a bomb. I'm calling you from the airphone." And then, "You believe me, don't you, Mom?" "Yes, Mark, I believe you. Who are these guys?" Then he was interrupted by someone who was speaking in a low-toned male voice, speaking what sounded like English. After 30 seconds of muffled sounds, the caller repeats, "I'm calling you with an airphone." His mother asks him again, "Who are these guys?" After another pause, he returns and asks again, "You believe me, don't you, Mom?" There was another pause, and the phone just trailed off. But to be honest, none of that matters. Why? Because none of these calls could have possibly taken place. Key Dudney of Physics911.net conducted some research of his own. In an experiment called Project Achilles, he took a series of cell phones onto a Cessna 172 and flew up to 8,000 feet. At 4,000 feet, he had a 0.4 success rate. At 8,000 feet, he had a 0.1 success rate. For 32,000 feet, cruising altitude for a commercial airliner, he calculated a 0.006 success rate, less than 1 in 100th of a chance. Don't believe me? Even American Airlines has put their foot in the government's mouth. On July 15, 2004, passengers aboard a commercial American Airlines flight were able to send and receive calls from their cell phones as if they were on the ground. thanks to a cell station that was installed into the plane. It worked great. I called the office, I called my wife, I called a friend in Paris. They all heard me great, and I could hear them loud and clear. Why would Calcom and American Airlines spend thousands of dollars on this technology in 2004 when cell phones worked so well on September 11th, 2001? The cell phone calls were fake. No question about it. So how is it possible to fake a person's voice? In 1999, the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico revealed their voice morphing technology. General Carl W. Steiner, the former Commander-in-Chief of United States Special Operations, declared on tape, "Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government." Another example was Colin Powell saying, "I am being treated well by my captors." With just a 10-minute recording of somebody's voice, they were able, in almost real time, to clone someone's speech. Steiner was so impressed, he asked for a copy. So what about the hijackers? On September 14th, 2001, the Department of Defense released the names of the alleged 19 hijackers. But on September 23rd, the BBC reported that Walid al-Shari was alive and well in Casablanca, Morocco. They also tracked down Abdulaziz Al-Amari, who was an engineer with Saudi Telecoms and lost his passport while studying in Denver. In the same article, FBI Director Robert Mueller admitted that the identity of several of the hijackers is in doubt. So how many hijackers turned up alive? At least 9 of them. Wael M. al-Shari is alive and well. Mohand al-Shari is alive in Saudi Arabia. Khaled al-Madar is a computer programmer in Mecca. Salem al-Hazmi works at a chemical plant in Yanbo, Saudi Arabia. Saeed al-Ghamdi is training to be a pilot in Tunis. Ahmed al-Nami is an administrative supervisor for Saudi Airlines. We already covered Walid and Abdulaziz. And last but not least, Mohammed Atta's father claimed to receive a phone call from his son on September 12th. On September 20th and 27th, Mueller admitted on CNN that there is no legal proof to prove the identities of the hijackers. And now for the last question of all. Why would our government do such a thing? I hope you're sitting down. First, we have Larry Silverstein, the man who purchased the World Trade Center in July 2001. After September 11th, Silverstein demanded $7.2 billion from his insurers, claiming that each plane counted as a separate act of terrorism. However, on December 6th, 2004, the courts only reward him with $2.2 billion. Then we have the put options that were placed on United Airlines, American Airlines, and Boeing. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, more than $2.5 million has remained unclaimed. As for 9/11 itself, Reuters reported that Comvar, a German computer company, is responsible for helping companies and accountants in New York restore their data from over 400 hard drives that were recovered from the World Trade Center's rubble. Comvar recovered information from 32 different computers that suggested insider trading took place on 9/11. Richard Wagner, an expert at Comvar. There is a suspicion that some people had advanced knowledge of the approximate time of the plane crashes in order to move out amounts exceeding $100 million. They thought that the records of their transactions could not be traced after the mainframes were destroyed. After their analysis, Comvar handed the results over to the FBI. Although the FBI was legally bound to investigate who was responsible, to date they have done no such thing. One of the world's largest gold depositories was stored underneath the World Trade Center. In 1993, the value of the gold was estimated at $1 billion, rumored to be owned by Kuwaiti interests. When the World Trade Center was destroyed, the amount of gold far exceeded the 1993 levels. The gold was finally recovered in its entirety in late 2001. Or was it? On November 1st, 2001, the Times Online reported that a large amount of gold was discovered in the wreckage of the World Trade Center. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani announced that more than $230 million was recovered from Ground Zero. However, the COMEX Metals Trading Division was storing gold bars for the Bank of Nova Scotia, Chase Manhattan Bank, the Bank of New York and Hong Kong, and Shanghai Banking, totaling $950 million. And that's just one company. Rumor has it that over $160 billion in gold was stored in the World Trade Center. So where did all the gold go? Remember the gold that was found in November 2001? Reuters reported that it was discovered in the back of a 10-wheel truck, along with several cars, in a delivery tunnel underneath World Trade Center 5. No bodies were recovered. As workers got closer to the gold, authorities began restricting access to Ground Zero, joined by FBI and Secret Service agents. One worker, directed away from the tunnel, told a reporter, "If I tried to go down there, they would have shot me." Heavy machinery operators and others worked under the watchful eye of more than 100 armed officers. So, let me get this straight. Gold from World Trade Center 4 was found underneath World Trade Center 5 in an empty delivery truck with an empty escort of cars. I think it's safe to say that they were running away from the South Tower. The question is, how did they know to flee from their stash when not even the firefighters inside the South Tower expected it to collapse? $167 billion in gold. $200 million is found. And that's just the money. After September 11th, President Bush had and continues to have the power to do and say whatever he wants, all under the pretext of 9/11. The Patriot Act. The Department of Homeland Security. Afghanistan. Iraq.
Good. Second one. Hit the other one.
It's time for America to accept 9/11 for what it was. A lie which killed thousands of people, only in turn killing hundreds of thousands more to make billions upon trillions of dollars. Are you angry yet? You should be. Every single attempt to investigate and uncover the truth behind 9/11 has been blackballed, ridiculed, and harassed by both the government and media alike. I'll say it again. Why are they hiding from us? What are they hiding from us? And what's it going to take until people in this country give a damn and do something about it? America has been hijacked. Not by Al-Qaeda. Not by Osama bin Laden. But by a group of tyrants, ready and willing to do whatever it takes to keep their stranglehold in this country. So what are we going to do about it? Anything. Share this information with friends, family, total strangers, hold screenings, conferences, whatever you have to do to get the word out. It's up to you. Ask questions. Demand answers.
It may have started with the Easter Bunny or St. Nicholas. Even more ridiculous, a tooth fairy. From there we're forced to recite the pledge. Hail Mary, one nation under God. Why us? Don't question, son, you're burning hell. Pay attention to the lies that we're told to tell. Teacher teaches us Columbus was a hero. He stole lands, he stole lives of so-called Indians. From the Tainos to the Africans. Respect Thomas Jefferson? He molested Sally Hemings. And now they say Reagan was a great man. The godfather of crack babies? Denying of the AIDS plague? I ran fast as I could to the library to find out they trace the books I read. These lies got me surrounded. There's a war on truth. Ain't it all me? It started with that first lies too. Lies, it's all lies. Everything they say. Lies, they keep telling lies. We hear them every day. Do you think that we don't know that you're up to no good when you're telling lies? They say milk does a body good. How so? It causes disease. Don't trust me? Read about BGH and RGF1. The dairy industry has a stricken poison. Got milk? Better yet, how about? Got cancer? Got a sick prostate? And you're looking for answers, and why we trust the FDA to protect us? These mad cows are milking us all the way to the bank. From cell phones to pharmaceuticals. Children force vaccinations that carry plague and chemicals. Corporate thugs push drugs like evangelists push miracles. Monsanto, Bayer, Procter & Gamble. Fluoride in our water supply has got us all cockeyed, but still they lie, telling us it's for our own good. First used in Nazi prison camps, now it's in our hoods. Lies, it's all lies, everything they say. Lies, they keep telling lies, we hear them every day. Do you think that we don't know that you're up to no good when you're telling lies?
That was amazing.
That was huge. Yeah, that woke everybody up. That was the first internet blockbuster, supposedly. Multi-millions of views. Imagine that, back when that came out. You have reviews from folks like Kevin Smith. It's fucking riveting. The 9/11 movie Michael Moore should have made. This is like the beginning of just like, I don't know. It could have been the beginning of the whole entire movement. Here, let me close out. There we go. I'll make thongs. I'll make underwear. I don't know. I haven't really seen if I could, but they have everything to make, and they can make something so quick. It's great. Let's see here. Yeah, that song was awesome. That whole soundtrack was awesome. And I'm going to bring that up to Jason, who's going to be on the show on Wednesday. Really fucking cool. And yeah, now everyone's finding out I have merch. I know I put up stuff, you know, I do put up community post, and I don't know, man. I think I am kind of low key, not low key. I'm shadow banned. Computer died. Rest in peace. I saw your merch though. Oh my. Brandon, really though? Is it dead? Like just the battery? It's not rest in peace forever. And Marley, yeah. So there's a few producers. So check this out, folks. I'm just going to take you along a little ride just to have a look, because that was Alex Jones. You know, he was behind that shit. Oh, you just I Want a Lion and Good Lion Films on it. No other words. Yeah, I've got that. Did you see it? Did you see it? I'll show you. Here, let's go back to here. What do I hear? It's okay, doggy. All right. Check it out. Here. Let's go. So here are the producers of this movie that we just watched. Corey Rowe, Dylan Avery, Jason Bermas. So you saw that executive producer's Alex Jones. It's pretty cool, huh? He did the final cut. So Jason used to work with Alex Jones, is what that's what I hear. I am on the algorithm's naughty list. I know, dude. I know. I'm on the naughty list. I'm on the naughty list. Do I have a lion? Just a lion and no words. It says good lion, you know, like that. I don't know if you like that. I want a lion and Good Lion Films on it. I just bought this for my studio. Yeah, I bought something off myself. I have to test it out to see what it looks like. Hey, how about Joe Rogan's studio? Ugh. That's all I have to say is ugh. Come on, what are we, satanic now, bro? I'm not even subscribed to you. It's a new channel. All right, I understand. Wow, bro, he's about to hit 10 million. I need that mug. You know, guys, I think I'm going to have a competition soon. Like a giveaway, because how cool would it be if you got like a mug? Oh, shit, we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to get, I'm getting ideas now. Like, how can I incorporate weed into a giveaway, even though it's like weed stuff, right? Wait, 100 million and went with that. Yeah, Joe Rogan got 100 million and went with this. Guys, watch this just for a second. I know, like, there's the last one before. What we missed is the organic feel of a brick wall in a curtain, basically. And, oh, well, screw it. I'll just zoom up. So see that now, guys? Look at this. What is this? What are we, in a brain? Are we in a vein in the brain? And then this is what it was like. It was so homey before. This is claustrophobic. Ew, it looks fake. It looks like we're at laser tag. Well, you know what? Whatever, it doesn't matter. People still watch and listen and learn. It's cool. It's really all that matters. Let's see here. A weed giveaway. I know it's not gonna make it past custom. Oh yeah, because you're out there, bro. Joe Rogan got threatened in the story. Yeah, it's obvious, huh? Joe Rogan. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you, Jenna. You guys are so good. Yeah, no, I know. Well, I wonder how long he's had this photo up here. Looks really old. Check this out. Oh, here, hold on, guys. How rude of me. January 11th, 2013. Let me make sure my homies aren't coming home right now. Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, I might actually just get off of here right now and make a weed lion shirt. I think that's one of the best ideas, Mimi. Yep. You'll probably see that in my store in like an hour. I have a show at 4. I believe that we've successfully tested live stream. That was fun. We'll see if it gets taken off. Hopefully not. That was great. So guys, I'm gonna create a giveaway. It's gonna be okay. I think I see it. It'll be like either $100 to the Good Lion store, or I create a package and then I send it to you with like cool shit. So stay tuned for that. And I think we should just listen to a song and maybe smoke weed, and then I'm gonna go outside and really smoke weed because I have a joint. But I'll hit this pen right now. I just got some coffee. Yo, guys, by the way, has anyone told you to fucking... Someone told me this today online, and I was like, I was really pissed off. He told me to Facebook bag it. BAGET. So I did it on Facebook. I rarely use Facebook. And then it said, hey, we think you're searching for child pedophilia. It didn't like let me get a search. It just like almost flagged me. And then I responded to the guy. I'm like, yo, bro, what the fuck was that? Did you just give me a link to set me up? You set me up. I'm not trying this on Twitter like you've asked. And he's like, no. He said he searched it, and then right away he turned it off because it's like a hashtag specifically to look at child porn on those media platforms. So people are learning about it. You can Google, you can DuckDuckGo or whatever. You can Google it and see that there are articles out there talking about that whole thing, right? Kelly Casey's in the house. Stoner Chick's in the house. She's been in the house. Stoner, I mean that Stoner. Don't buy a hoodie yet, because I'm gonna get you one. Since you're the inspiration behind, I did 2, but one of them's nice. I'm gonna get you that one. So don't buy one yet. Just text me your address, and that's how we'll flow with that. And yeah, it's a Filipino term. Twitter's bad. Don't search it. No, yeah, don't. I know. I got mystery package. Also, what do you guys think about Michael from What If This Happened becoming a regular cast member? Because I think having him on once a week would be pretty sick. Yeah, I got a spliff ready to go, man. So Jason Bermas, Wednesday. We have today at 4, Nikki Jean. We're going to talk about Isaac Cappy. She was his friend. And we're going to talk about spiritual ether. She said, and we'll be on my big channel. This is back up. And sometimes I just come here to mess around and be more ballsy. Update on Perfect with 7. I got the intro completed, and I'm stoked on it. I'm so stoked on it that I've realized that I needed to write some more. So I'm writing more. I will record more, and it's probably going to be a longer one. I prefer those. And Yeah. Yeah. Gentle's getting some stuff from the store. Sick. Yeah, maybe we can do like a mug club. Kind of like Steven Crowder does. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't even know where my mug is from Mug Club. I think I left it at my last job. Brenda. Yeah, guys, get that merch, man. It's cool because then people will talk about it. They'll be like, yo, what's that? What's that? Is that Good Line? What's Good Line? Dude, are you Christian? Is that Christian? No. Well, maybe. Send it to you. It's goodlinefilms.com, and I think it's shop. But why don't... Oh, I'm not a... yeah, you're going to have to copy. You just... I don't have link availability because I'm responding from a different account. Let's see what else is going on. Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm totally going to make a good line with weed in the backdrop, like a huge weed leaf. Instead of the square that's there, it's going to be a weed leaf. I can already see it. Thank you, J.E. You read my mind. I know, I made you moderator and you can do those. Yeah, that fanny pack has a smell constraint on it. I can walk. Can I walk the walk without leaving a trail to follow? Good question, brosif. You know, shame on me for not having one yet, because I love fanny packs. And I just ordered a bunch of stuff for myself. Did I put one in there? I should have. This looks like it has a good smell constraint. I'm going to be honest here. Check it out. Ooh, and if anyone gets ideas, I can make I'll wake up and make it every day. It's very easy. It's very fun. This is fanny pack. Put your weed in there. No, sir. It does not go around your neck, sir. All right, there you go. It's a nice photo. Look at that. It's a little big. One compartment. I like mine to be a little tinier, but actually that's probably the same. What else could we do? We could put ooh. What if the lion is blazing it? How cool would that be? He's blowing out smoke. All right. If I wear a fanny pack in Scotland, you get destroyed. Weed infused stickers. Oh, stickers are so coming. Too Woke to Sleep. Too Woke to Sleep is going to be a sticker. Yeah. This one's sick. You can just tell. I mean, and it's like, it's not going to shrink on you. It's more polyester. It's not. Look at that, man. Maybe. No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's right. Because then you get the pockets right there. All right, cool. I'm nerding out. Okay, dudes and ladies. 2 more hours. I'm going to be with, actually, probably an hour and a half. I'll get the party started a little bit before Nikki gets on. If anybody has questions, any Isaac Cappy related questions, I suggest y'all come with it. She wants to clear the air on some of that stuff, which is pretty fucking cool. Green weed with red. Yeah, lime with red eyes. Puffy stickers. Ooh, I like this. Crop tops and booty shorts for the win. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Why you're stuck eating block, bro? Albert, some people think my roommate is shocked that I still have a channel that's up. I'm like, why, dude? Any sticker decals for vehicles? I can do that. Oh, I haven't. You know what I can do? And I almost did is shoes. How the fuck? They have shoes on there. I really want to design some sick shoes. So I almost just put the Good Line logo on there, and it's no. I can do so much better. Right? That's the only reason why I wear fanny packs is the storage. It's the storage. I don't like things in my pocket. In fact, I hated tobacco. I don't know how I got there. Oh. Wow. You know someone who infuses crystals into the print on their shirts? That is fucking crazy. Peace out, Smooth Groove. Mimi, if you want to hit me up and share who does that, that's great. Here's my email, nick@goodlinefilms. I hope everyone has a good few hours. If you want to come hang out later, come hang out. I'm going to try and sneak outside and smoke this and then come back, design some shirts before we go live. All right, homies. I'll miss you. Come back. I'll be on at 3:30, and then we'll have her on around 4:10.